Okay, here we are. We're back. Neil, we are back. How are you doing?
Very well, thanks.
Have you had a good week?
Very enjoyable. I've had a few run-ins online with some climate change deniers, science deniers, and conspiracy theorists.
This always happens to you. What's going on now?
I just got to a point in my life where I just think these people are detrimental to society because to tackle climate change, we've got to stop science denial because we can see what's going on in America with Trump and the same things happening in UK with the fossil fuel industry. So I'm challenging people who I guess aren't used to being challenged about the facts.
So what is it? What is it exactly? They just don't believe in science. You said earlier that they're calling science a religion now.
There seems to be, oh God, I had that one. Science is a religion apparently. It's a lot of mistrust of corporations and governments, and they're sort of misunderstanding the mistrust of corporations and governments with the science isn't true. Yeah. They seem to be mixing that up somehow. So we'll look into that in the future, I think, because I think it's an important issue. Yeah,
except for chemtrails, which are completely true. They're a real worry, aren't they?
Yes, obviously a real worry. Although I haven't found a single report of a monitoring station anywhere in the world finding these chemicals that apparently...
We'll have to find one of the pilots because they're all in on it and so are their families. So
yeah, that's right. And all those rich people breathing that air that's being poisoned as well.
So today we are going to have a slightly different show. We're going to start off with some interesting news, and then we're going to go into some reactions that we recorded the other night at a get-together. I guess you could call secular and atheist friends. We all got together and we watched the documentary Hell House, which of course we mentioned last week on Talk Belief News, which is a fly-in-the-wall documentary about the Christian haunted houses, many of which are probably popping up right now because we're recording this on Halloween, and designed to scare people out of their sin and into a life of Christianity by having some very graphic scenes which they act out. They're basically their take on the evil, sinful world, the world of date rape and of going to raves and homosexual lifestyles and abortions, and it's just dreadful, isn't it?
It was really interesting to see people's reactions because some of these people aren't people who like us, who like to get involved and talk about our opinions openly. Yeah. Even though I know they're atheists, they don't like to get involved in the sort of atheist community, as it were, air quotes. But to see their reactions and hear their reactions,
because we've seen the documentary, but they'd never even heard of hell houses at all.
No,
so, we all sat around, we had our munchies and everything. We watched this, and afterwards we recorded some of them, their thoughts of having seen the documentary. And so we're going to be ending the episode on that. Okay, so what we're going to get into first: Elvis Presley's ex Priscilla quits the controversial Church of Scientology, and she says, "I've had enough. I'm done." Now, this is about a week ago, right? And this one is coming from the A-List and the IB Times Co. UK.
Yeah, it was all over the press. It was in a lot of different news sites, and it seemed pretty genuine story and strong story at the beginning. I mean, it was everywhere. So someone somewhere I don't know if they'd done a press release or what, but the news was everywhere. Yeah, it was huge.
It was huge. And this article starts off like this. Almost 40 years after allegedly becoming part of the Church of Scientology, it has emerged that popular actress and ex-wife of Elvis Presley, Priscilla, has cut ties with the controversial faith. The 72-year-old star, I can't believe she's 72, is said to have joined the sect after her husband's death in 1977 and has been a part of the church ever since. And really all it says is the quote where she says, "I've had enough. I'm done." And that seemed to be it.
And this seems to be following a pattern of several famous women leaving the cult.
Yeah.
I've no idea why it seems to be women at the moment. It could just be a statistical anomaly.
Well, Leah Remini, of course, who has her program Scientology in the Aftermath. And we can't fail to mention that Priscilla's own daughter, the daughter she had with Elvis, Lisa Marie, she left, I think, in 2014.
Right. So does this, just putting a question out there, is this a relation to the alleged misogynistic tendencies of the cult?
Well, I don't think women are treated all that well in Scientology. I mean, you certainly don't get that impression from the women who have come forward and who have spoken out on the Leah Remini show. So that could, that's probably definitely something to do with it. But did you notice, Neil, that about a week later, we were getting a lot of articles saying that, oh, no, I never left. Like, for instance, this one from the Independent.ie, which is the Irish version of the Independent. Priscilla Presley denies leaving Scientology after 40 years.
Yeah, and again, what does this relate to? I'm reading stories that her granddaughter's still in there, so...
Yeah, Riley, yeah.
Could it be that she was threatened without access? I don't know. It's a question that needs asking, I think.
So did her granddaughter, who's Lisa Marie's daughter, beg her to stay in? Or if, like you mentioned, is it something perhaps a little bit more sinister than that? Just speculating?
Who knows? And there are a lot of allegations that they're famous for coming after people with lawsuits and making their life really difficult. I mean, anyone who's seen the Louis Theroux documentaries on Scientology will have seen...
Oh, their lawyers are ruthless, yeah.
Seen that. So for now, it looks like she's in.
Yeah, perhaps reluctantly. We don't know.
We don't know, but there's conflicting stories here. So,
there's no smoke without fire. And why would, out of nowhere, Priscilla Presley would be reported as saying, "I've had enough"?
Yeah.
Why would that be made up?
I don't know, and so widely reported as well.
Yeah.
So something going on here. I don't know if there'll be more news to follow in the future.
I was hoping she'd appear on Leah Remini's show, but now it looks like she's keeping stum and staying within the church walls.
Yeah, it was quite exciting at the beginning because you thought there was going to be another really famous person to let us know what goes on inside the Scientology churches, but unfortunately not at this moment in time.
No. Well, I think there's another episode this week, so perhaps they'll address it at least. I don't know. Anyway, we are going to go straight into the recording that we made at the get-together that me and Neil had with several others, some other free thinkers, if you like, who all gathered around to watch the documentary Hell House. And what you're going to hear now are some reactions by people who have seen this documentary for the first time. Okay, a group of us just watched the documentary Hell House, and we're all feeling pretty good about that, aren't we? What's your first impressions of this Christian haunted house where Christians' versions of world sin is put on display for people?
I think it would be very easy to have the regular response of it's just obvious torture that they're putting a lot of people through. But you know what? I kind of feel sorry for them as well.
Yeah.
Because they're wasting such a huge volume of the only life they're going to get. And
all the time.
And they're doing it regardless of what you might think about the disgusting nature of what it is that they're basically telling people. That is that, you know, if you're gay, you're going to go to hell and burn and scream and suffer forever, or the same thing as if you have an abortion and you commit suicide, etc., and all these sorts of things that seem so abhorrent to us. They're doing it. They think they're doing it to save people. They think they're doing a loving grace, you know, for people.
What struck me is how much obvious physical distress they're causing people by doing this from the film. It shows this quite clearly. Yet they think that's
the right thing.
Because you know, if you've got to make omelettes, you've got to break some eggs. You know, is their kind would be, you know, for them it's it's a necessary pain that people have to go through. No pain, no gain. I'm sure it's probably how they would view it. They'd still view it as a loving gift.
And probably this is how they were convinced to keep it as they are. Probably the same strategy worked for them, and is a perpetuation of the same methods.
Do you think it's something that should be perhaps made illegal? Because some people have said that, you know, this is a form of mental abuse.
I'm not sure where I fall on that one, because I think probably sacrosanct is the freedom of expression and freedom to say what you want. My hope is that by things like this interview and by people going out there and exposing these sorts of things, then hopefully things like this will just die off. But I get uncomfortable with sort of making.
I don't know if making it illegal is going to solve the problem. That's my reservation of saying, yeah, by the book, if you're thinking yes, they're abusing all the young people that were there and even older ones. By logic, is that of course it should be illegal, but at the same time you think, is it going to work? Because it's such a big group of people who truly believe in that, and it seems that the entire local area is in it. So
They will just find another way.
So yeah, maybe now is much. I think now is probably easy because you've got the internet and other people can see and go there and talk to them and say that's a different world. Things are not the way you think they are, and naturally people realize and come out. I really don't. I don't know. I don't know if.
It's very interesting to hear you both say that you don't think it's a good idea to ban it, because actually during the film there was a scene where they're in school and one of the rules was don't ask any silly questions, and it was obviously very, very clear. It's what they meant. Don't ask any questions that we're going to find it difficult to ask, like why would God, a loving God, do this? So it's very interesting to hear you say that you wouldn't want to ban it. Yeah, they are explicitly saying do not question what we're doing.
It's incredibly messed up.
Yeah, it's really seriously messed up.
I mean, it's mental abuse.
Because we saw scenes of abortion, there was a gay man dying of AIDS, there was
that was particularly
abuse.
messed up.
That was horrific.
Saying basically it's your fault you're dying because you're homosexual is wow, just.
So did you feel when you watched this is like you said, a particularly messed up version of how that Christian church view the outside world?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, they showed that abortion. That is not what would happen after taking abortion pills. It was ridiculous. It shows that they don't understand basic biology. And then you see the rave scenes. Which
they've clearly never been to a rave ever.
Ever.
And I like the fact those kids at the end sort of questioned that and said, you're basically saying if you go to a rave, you're going to get raped. And he sort of didn't seem to have a very good answer to that because he'd clearly never been to a rave.
Well, that's it. A lot of the people who have a lot of Christians who had set up this whole enterprise in the first place, is obviously they hadn't done or even witnessed any of those things that they portrayed. Yeah.
They were talking about how she got into the occult from playing like role-playing games.
They didn't even know the name of it.
They couldn't even think of the name of a role-playing game, so they don't know what it is. And they've never played these things, so they don't know.
I immediately thought of Life of Brian when all the Christians went up in arms about the Life of Brian, and you asked them, have you ever watched it? No, I've never watched it, but it's awful. And it's the same sort of thing, isn't it? It's like they're objecting to something they know nothing about at all. They've never been to it. They've never watched it. They've never seen it.
Or they just genuinely thought the world outside was that bad.
I think they were really quite genuine people, and like when you look at them, they thought that they were doing a good thing. They genuinely thought that they were helping these people.
I think they did.
By scaring the crap out of them.
Yeah, like. Scaring them straight.
That's the tactic.
They thought that was a genuinely good thing to do, and you look at them, you see their lives, and you can see that they're good, genuine people with these terrible ideas.
Yeah.
And so many of the ideas behind it are so fueled with hate.
And don't stand up to any scrutiny at all, because basically, as soon as you start pulling at the threads of it, it all falls apart. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. The fact they showed those kids, questioning and really sort of getting quite cross with the Christian guy.
There was some
was
young
really
people
interesting.
who had been to view the Hell House. And obviously they weren't hardcore Christians, and they
not at all.
Probably went for a laugh, but they were actually really horrified and let them know something.
And offended. The guy said, I've got homosexual friends, and I'm really offended that you would show a guy dying of AIDS and basically saying it's his fault and almost laughing at him for for what he's done and what's going to happen to him.
And
You know.
the kids complaining were Christians.
Mm,
You know, they just weren't the same sort of Christians as the ones putting it on.
Yeah, pretty horrendous overall, really.
Yeah, and they said, you know, by putting this Hell House on and by showing all of these things, you're making Christians look bad and you're putting people off Christianity.
Which is exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
And they're still doing these things out there.
Yeah.
And I don't think they've come to the UK, but
And to be honest, I don't see how they think that they're going to influence people, because I don't think that people who aren't Christian are going to go to that sort of thing anyway.
I think maybe it's in the local town, people who aren't Christian thinks it's a fun thing to go and look at what they're doing. But you look at the poor people at the end of it who were petrified, and they were mostly young teenagers who were absolutely
they're
And-
invited to take Jesus into their heart.
Yeah,
and
and
of course
I
they do it.
totally, and from my own experience, having been on not anything like this, but a similar, you know, intense 10 days of constantly being told Jesus loves you, convert to, you know, whatever. I've done it. I've said, okay, I give in. That's it. Yeah, fine. I'll accept him. And that was, you know, they were all praying for me, whatever. And of course, that it's nonsense. That doesn't. So they will judge this as being a success because of all those people that walk through that door at the end. You know,
So all you do is have to do
you know,
is accept Jesus, isn't it?
the timeshare thing at the end, the
Yeah.
pressure at the end to walk through the door. They will see that it's a success because all of those people walk through the door. But they're only doing that because they've basically gone, yeah, I give in. I'll walk through the door.
I mean,
It's
they-
not.
Yeah.
It's not. It doesn't mean anything. They're
No,
just
it
doing
doesn't.
it because they've been. First of all, they've been scared to death. And they've been pressurised for the last however long it takes to get through this thing. There's quite a lot of different scenes that they go through. So I suspect it's a good hour and I don't know
I could do that
how long
now,
they.
yeah.
It must, you know, they go through a lot of different rooms and watch these nutcases acting this nonsense out for, you know. So they've had there's a high pressure sales technique going on, isn't there? By its very definition. So, you know, at the end they've just basically gone, oh, for God's sake, just get me out of here. You know, if I've got to walk through that door to get me out of here, I'll walk through that door. I'll basically do anything you want me to do. Let me just walk through the door and you can pray over me.
Well, not all of them did.
No, but
that's
that
good
was
for
actually
them.
quite interesting. But at the end, there was quite a lot that had.
But I think, you know...
But that's how they'll see it as a success. But that isn't. That's just people going, I give in.
Okay, so that was the reactions that we got from some of our friends after watching the documentary Hell House. They sounded a little bit shell-shocked from that. But
Yeah, it's interesting when people who don't really know what goes on in the real evangelical community, they see what happens. It's always quite shocking.
yeah, I mean, they thought Jesus Camp was bad. But no, there's something worse out there. Okay, so if you liked what you heard today, if you want to support our show, please give a big thumbs up. We'd really appreciate that. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. If you'd like to help us even further, please go to Patreon and support us there. That would be wonderful. And Neil and I will see you next week. Bye, Neil.
Bye-bye.